Hello, my name is Ken Katsura. I am the first in the history of science to discover irrefutable scientific proof of the neuropsychological paranormal. And my company is Nexus Nova Scientific. And I think at the top of a lot of folks' mind is, why is this discovery so important? Well, to answer the question very briefly, the reason it is so important is because it provides researchers with a working definition that they never had previously. It is a proven scientific fact. It has not been circulated within the scientific community in terms of journals and publishing, and for reasons which are relatively esoteric to the discovery. So in other words, if it were anything else, I could see that it would or should have been circulated throughout the scientific community. But there are two things. One, it's my medical information, and number two, it has specific applications in which it would be inappropriate to circulate it through the scientific research community. So subsequently, it's being offered directly to the government because it has certain applications which ultimately are likely to be registered as top secret. Okay? So, in any event, it's important. Number one, it's rare. It's essentially inobtainable outside of Nexus Nova Scientific. Number two, it's important for research purposes because, as I was mentioning earlier, prior research into paranormal phenomenon and paranormal ability did not have a very grounded or solid definition. How could they? So the intellectual property or the discovery provides researchers with the means to be able to carry out appropriate research with a high probability of success, in contrast to previous efforts throughout history. Three, as an example, I'll give an example. If you were to arrive on a college campus your first day, and it's a huge campus, and you didn't have a map, but you had to be someplace at a certain time, that's your objective. First of all, you would have no idea where you are, so you don't know where to begin, and then you don't know where you're supposed to end up relative to coordinates. So, without the discovery, this is what researchers are essentially doing. They don't know really where they are to begin with, and they don't know where they're really going, where they're really trying to end up. So it's absolutely just swinging in the dark. And this is why there's so much parody surrounding paranormal research. And in fact, folks cannot distinguish between paranormal research, which is scientific, and paranormal research, which is non-scientific. It's so bad. So, subsequently, the discovery, in this case, provides that that starting point, so you know where you're beginning, and that way you'll have the coordinates to better know where you are going to end up, or how to get to the point where to your objective. So definition in research is everything. So if you have a poor definition to begin with, your chances of success are impossible. I mean, they're slim to impossible. We offer that definition, which is proven. It's scientific. It's proven, and their chances, or paranormal researchers' chances for success when they employ the discovery, are very strong. Okay, so that's why it's so important. Okay? Your definition literally dictates the success of your research. And if you don't have this discovery, your definition is basically just a guess. And you need more than a guess to begin your research. Okay? So the definition is that the discovery provides is everything to the success of efforts to research paranormal phenomena, neuropsychological paranormal phenomena, remote viewing, precognition, and other forms of clairvoyance. Okay. Now, most people have had some experience, personal experience with paranormal phenomena. It's just that they are unable to express clearly what their experience was. They don't know how to explain it. And when they do explain it, they are chided. They're the targets of humor. And we've all gone through that, and we learn to laugh at ourselves, you know, and have fun along with it, everyone else. But we don't know how to explain it, and that's why we refer to it, though, as paranormal. It's not normal. And so we learn to joke about it, and subsequently, since we have no scientific basis in which to research the neuropsychological paranormal, right, with any chance of really credible success, the field has become a joke. It's become a parody. It's become the target of parody. And so so paranormal research largely lay within the entertainment industry rather than where it really should be, and that is in the scientific community. With the discovery, we move then paranormal research into the scientific community with at least a fighting chance, actually a really good chance of success. And that would be building on, and that would be knowledge building and also practical application, both simultaneously. Okay? So with a discovery, I also offer a day-long brainstorming session. Okay? And that is to get researchers, the individuals who will be researching, utilizing the discovery in the right direction to begin with. So there are two sort of levels of research, and one is programmatic to apply the discovery and to get practical results that are usable, right? I anticipate that with guidance, research guidance, with the research guidance that I provide, we should be able to see, a government should be able to see some practical results within about a half a year, 6 months to a year. The other level of research would be for grand theory or larger research, which is more along the lines of physics and a grand theory. Potentially through, or also in application to neurological sciences to address such issues such as autism. And there are other medical applications as well that I'm sure that with a little bit of imagination and elbow grease that you'll come about on your own as well. In any event, so the discovery is very important for that reason, and for intelligence purposes, research and intelligence, defense intelligence, and some very serious applications that will likely make the discovery classified once it's purchased. I do require a conference prior to an interest actually purchasing the discovery. And what this is composed of is a meeting or conference. The attendees are required to have at least a master's degree. in a behavioral or social science such as psychology, psychiatry, an MD in psychiatry, PhD or master's or PhD in sociology, psychology, right? And they also are required to cover their logical fallacies as well, as a good attorney would already be trained in. Ad populum, bulverism, medical bulverism, straw man, et cetera, et cetera. So this reduces the back and forth and the possibility of any antagonists attending the conference with any ideas of staging or disrupting the meeting or the conference. So those points are covered prior to the attendees actually going to the conference, and so we don't have any issues of pushback or back and forth, or any issues which might disrupt the conference. So professionalism is required off the bat in terms of assessing the merits of the discovery, so we don't have to go through any issues, right? And that's required to begin with, so it's not something that I need to talk about, catch up with. I don't have to have any pretense of, ultra authority or, et cetera, et cetera. We just rule out all the issues to begin with. Then once I go from top to bottom, covering any potential issues, all its uses, applications, its legitimacy, the proof of origin, that it's mine, that it is my medical information, and on and on and on. So all these different things are covered. It's not like it's something that there's any debate about. Once this is all covered, then let's say it were a branch of the government, right, that were attending a meeting or a conference with me prior to determining purchase. Well, they would walk away. The idea is to have them walk away absolutely confident that they have covered all the bases, and that they have something, they have an opportunity to purchase intellectual property which is inobtainable outside of Nexus Nova Scientific. One of the reasons it is inobtainable is because it is my medical information. It's inobtainable outside of Nexus Nova Scientific because it is my medical information. And if somebody else did have this information, there would be obviously a criminal investigation as to how they acquired that information. Whether that be in a branch of the government or the private sector, you can bet there would be a push by Nexus Nova Scientific to determine how they got the information. Okay, so the discovery is inobtainable outside of Nexus Nova Scientific. Likewise, successful research is almost guaranteed to be unsuccessful unless the research incorporates the discovery that Nexus Nova Scientific has to offer. So this is why the discovery is so important. Now, on a practical basis, why is the discovery important? The discovery is important because, of course, you want your government to be on the leading edge of the rest of the world. And in particular, in terms of intelligence, defense intelligence, you also want to be aware how to defend, right, against neuropsychological hacking. And You also want to be aware that the reason why this is so pressing, excuse me, the reason why this issue is so pressing, the reason why it's so important, another reason why it's so important, is because it is time sensitive. Okay. The chances of individuals popping up all over the globe with certain capabilities, paranormal capabilities, is high. And these are legitimate. And there's a reason for this. My suspicion is, I haven't absolutely proven this, okay? My suspicion is it has something to do with human evolution, okay? If that's the case, and I suspect it is, then we have a problem. We have a problem defending against neuropsychological hacking. We have a problem relative to individuals guessing before events actually take place. That is a stock market issue. That is a gambling industry issue. That is a national security issue. To know that an event is going to take place, even the day before, can let opposing nations know how to strategize against any move that your government makes. This is obviously a corporate industrial concern as well, in terms of global competition and national competition, okay, as well in the private sector. So as you can see, this is a problem in general. This development is a problem in general, and it is an urgent matter. Okay? It isn't something that can wait because of politics, because of competing egos. Okay? It is very important relative to security on a variety of different levels. It is very important to our economy. Okay? It is important relative to concerns about industrial espionage, and on and on and on. And on a social science basis, on a social welfare basis, I just happened to come across a short science fiction video on YouTube. And it portrayed, interestingly enough, this very development taking place, human evolution. And suddenly kids started being born with the ability to engage in telepathy, read minds, and on and on and on. Neuropsychological paranormal evolution. And it would be very challenging on a family basis, in society in general. How do we handle a society where there's less and less privacy? I mean, you can't just, pretend that, go into denial about it. You can't just pretend it doesn't exist. Even now, we already know it exists in isolated cases. Some may say, well, that's really science fiction. That's sensationalism. That can't be. I haven't read anything about it in the papers. Do your research on the internet one more time and see. Okay? So, there are a lot of individuals. Now, this is between you and I, but there is an understanding with another researcher and myself, and that, you know, there are children whose parents send their children to the specialist, who is licensed, does have an MD, used to teach at Harvard Medical School, and they send their children there for special reasons, to her for special reasons. And they increase in number. If you think this isn't going on throughout the rest of the world, you have to be joking. And so, obviously, we need to move on this as quickly as possible.